Hey guys, I want to take a minute and talk to you about, are we going into a recession? Are we in a recession? And what happens if we go into a recession? So, in the history of the stock market, there have been five times where the S&P 500, the S&P 500 is what most people consider to be the stock market. It's the 500 biggest companies. And that is typically, it used to be the Dow, but now that is typically what people look at when they think about the stock market, right? So there have been five times where that has dropped at least 30% in a year. So I'm going to kind of read them off and talk about it a little bit, okay? The Great Depression. The Great Depression obviously was really, really bad. And we understand that the Great Depression dropped 80% and took 4 years to recover. So obviously that was bad. A lot of bank closures. We all know about the Great Depression, so we're not gonna stay on that. Black Monday. Black Monday was 1987. That was a rapid stock drop. It dropped really fast, and basically it was rising interest rates. It was computerized trading. And the market dropped, and it took 2 years to recover. It actually took until 1989 until it got back up to the level that it was when it crashed. We have the dot-com bubble. When the dot-com bubble burst, that was really bad. And if you've been to my seminar, you know that we talk a little bit about this one here. Okay, so this was, everything was overvalued. There was an internet bubble, and it was 49% overall. And it took till 2002 to drop, or to come back rather. So 49%, that was really bad. If you think about that, that wasn't as bad as the Great Depression, but that was a really bad time in the country. And a lot of you, that is close enough to where a lot of you probably remember that. If you had money invested in your 401ks and your IRAs, you were probably pretty aggressive at the time, and a lot of people lost a lot of money. It took a couple of years to recover. Okay, the next one we're going to talk about is the global financial crisis. The real estate bubble is what I think of it as, and what you probably think about it as. The subprime mortgage crisis. They made a movie out of it, The Big Short. Interesting movie, but that was really bad. They had to shut the market down because it was dropping so fast. In that time, the high point, peak to trough, so highest to lowest point there, was 59%, and it took 4 years to recover. That's a long time. That's a long time. And then we have the COVID, the Great Correction of COVID, and we all understand that. 34% took 5 months, jumped right back up. Most 401ks lost about 34%. So one of the things that I talk about in my seminar is, we have all these times in our life where the media will pitch certain things to us, right? And I like to think about it like this, right? The Great Depression, right? Great Depression. The Great Recession. They actually call the real estate bubble the Great Recession, which is ridiculous, but they were trying to basically mimic it with Great Depression. The Great Correction, that was COVID. When COVID happened, Great Correction. And then now we are currently in something they call the Great Resignation, which, it's like great. What I think when the media says great, that means you're probably going to lose money in the market, right? So if next year or 2 years from now, the media comes out and you look at the news and they say, hey, we're having the great blank, I would recommend being kind of safe with your money, because every time they label this as great, then that something is going on. So those are the 5 times that the market has dropped at least 30%. And, how can you protect yourself from that? Well, there are accounts that are, of course, completely safe, that we use a lot, that are 100% safe, because some people don't want that risk. Some people don't want to go, up and down on that roller coaster, right? And there are some accounts that we put a 30% protection. And listen, the reason why we put a 30% protection on this is because if you look at the time, and by the way, what that means is in 1 year, if the market drops up to 30%, your principal is completely protected. Okay. So if it goes past 30%, you're basically, you own the market, like you're down. But if it drops 25 or 29%, then your principal is actually completely protected. The reason why we do 30% is because it's very rarely ever happens. If we were to do 15%, that happens a lot. And we've been doing these type of accounts with that 30% protection on it for years, and we've never had anyone lose any money. And the idea behind that is actually not to completely 100%, FDIC insure, checking account, savings account, rock solid. It's just to have a a little safe barrier or buffer there, right? A buffer so that you can say, hey, look, I have this protection and can I get an interest rate attached to it? And a lot of times by adding that, you can actually get like an 8 to 11% interest rate for a year. And banks will put these out, and they're fantastic and they're very popular. Where you can sit your money there for a year, you earn 8, 10, 11%, and you have oftentimes that 30% barrier, which says, hey, this is very safe. This has only happened 5 times in the history of our country, and it's very, very safe. So I love to talk about those because I think it's really fantastic.